Day 2, rewriting formulas and equations, also known as transforming formulas. I am not a fan of the Transformer universe. I have not went to the movies and enjoyed Transformers. I think back when I was a teenager and the original Transformer came out, I might have seen one. Now I know there's like 8 gazillion, bazillion remakes and more and all of that. I don't really know those. But I do know this guy because I took my kids to the Children's Museum, Bumblebee. He's a huge thing in the entry when you come into the Children's Museum. You with me? And if you're there at a certain time, you might see somebody dressed up in this like cardboard box car thing that comes out and does a little remake down into the Bumblebee. What I do know about Transformers is this big guy does all this little funky stuff and he turns into this car. And he drives to wherever and he saves the world. Okay? I don't know. That's my synopsis of Transformers. But what I do know is this car and this big guy totally look different, but they are exactly the same. They transformed. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at formulas or equations yesterday that are going to look totally different, but did I really change them at all? Change the way they look. It's like, hey, I got a $1 bill. I can turn it into 4 quarters. That looks different. I can turn those 4 quarters into 10 dimes. That looks different. But do all of those equal the same amount of money? And the answer is yes. Okay? So, a formula shows how one variable is... I knew this would start this today. I don't like this. Every time I try to record and do this, it ends badly. It just is so laggy right at the start. The word is related to one or more variables. It shows how one is related to one or more variables. Let me see if I get my stylus, if that will help wake this thing up. Oh, that was bad. I don't know why. There we go. Let's try to pick a pen. No. Let's try to write with this now. There we go. Sometimes when I try with my stylus, then it works. I don't get it. Now, here's what you got to do to transform it. You're going to isolate. Isolate means we are going to solve for whatever variable we have there. And all we are going to do today as examples is write a variety of formulas down and then solve them for different letters. These are formulas you should know from math classes. Not formulas you have to use yet. We will be using these later this year. But I thought instead of writing random generic, and you're going to see some in your homework tonight that are random generic, like A plus 5B minus 4C plus 9D times H. Those will be just random weirdos. But I'm going to use some normal ones. So who knows the formula for area of a parallelogram? In pink there you have a parallelogram. Does anybody remember the area formula for that? You don't have to know them yet. You will in Unit 8. We're in Unit 3, so we got a while. Very good. It's not just base times height. It's got to have an equal sign. A equals BH. That's the formula we're going to transpose. In your homework tonight, you're going to be working in your online textbook, and it'll show you one on the screen, and it will say, solve for the bold letter, or solve for this letter. So solve for H. So you're going to have on your paper, yes, you're going to write them out on your paper. Even though you're doing an online assignment, you will be submitting your work paper and your score. You'll write the original one. So if that's what's on the screen, you would write number 1, A equals BH. Newsflash, sidebar, A has to be capital. If you write it lowercase, you have changed the formula. If it's capital when it starts on the big ideas and you don't type it capital, it will count it wrong. Okay? In formulas, there are things such as big B and little b. And in some formulas, a big B and a little b are both in the formula, and they mean different things. So you cannot interchange those. Okay? If I want to get H by itself, what would I need to do here? I would need to divide this side by B. Again, very abstract, but I'm not stressed about what are the numbers. You ask yourself what's happening to the letter I'm trying to isolate, and then you do the inverse operations. The inverse of multiply is divide. Final answer for this would be little b over H. Oh, no. Nope. Don't write that down. Whoa, that was really bad. I'm Thinking ahead. Whoa. Whoa. It's not letting me erase. Okay, let's go back to a pencil. Pick up a pen. Capital A over little b. That looks way better. Now, I was thinking ahead of what I want to tell you. I don't know because I haven't looked over anybody's shoulders in class when they're doing the assignment, but last year when we assigned this and we sent a ticket in saying this is confusing to kids, kids would get this answer, they would type it in, it would say wrong. And then they would type it again, wrong. And they'd come up to my desk and be like, why is it saying I'm wrong? I did it, my partner did it, my dad did it. Okay. They were not looking at the screen. And last year, when you typed the answer in on the big ID screen, it said H equals box. If it says H equals, you do not type the H equals. Because what kids were doing was typing H equals, like it said H equals, and then they were typing H equals A over B. So you're writing an equation with two equal signs, that's always going to be wrong. So if this is here, all you type is this. We did put in a request saying this is confusing to kids. Could we just have it totally be blank? I don't know if they fixed it or not, and I meant to look last period and forgot because I was helping people with the DQSA. Let's try another one. A equals what if I have a triangle? Somebody besides him, he's already answered one. Alexis? Right, I'm going to write it like this just because this is how I've learned it and this is how you'll see it on iLearned. A equals 1/2 BH. You won't see it on the checkpoint we're doing next week. We haven't even talked about doing area yet. Although they kind of assume you know area of rectangles and triangles and because that's like 5th grade standard. Everybody good there? So how am I going to transform this one for H? Well, anytime I see a fraction, I'm going to do what skill that is becoming more and more prevalent as important? Clear the fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Does everybody follow multiplying by 2? Yay or nay? Yeah. So I get 2A. And then I get 2 times 1/2 BH. So 2 times 1/2 cancels that 2, and I just get BH. Have I solved it for H now? Now I undid the fraction. Now I need to undo the multiplication. How do I undo that multiplication of B? E. Final answer. And I always write my variable first, but if you don't, it's okay. 2 capital A over lowercase b. Again, really abstract. What's the number? I don't know. I don't even understand what this means, Ms. Grant. It means if the problem says find the height and you know the area, you can double the area, divide it by the base. That would give me the height's measurement. Yes, Sally?
Wait, why is B always at the bottom?
Well, in this case, it's not always going to be, but in this case, B was multiplied by H, and I'm trying to get H by itself, so I have to divide by B. And that gets this gone, and it's on the bottom because that's where it placed over there because it's dividing over that. Okay? There won't be a B in the next one. Anybody remember the circumference formula? Alexis and Ollie can't answer. They've answered every one. They must have got an A on the geometry test last year. What is the circumference? Okay, do we all get that it's about a circle? I'm not sure what this is. I'm going crazy. Yes, I am. No.
Last time we'll all get 0.
Yeah, no, I don't want anybody to get a 0. Circumference is the distance around. I learned circumference as this. But that's not what we need to use today. That's what I teach it when I teach it too. Why does that not help me? Because it's asking for R. So I better learn a formula for circumference that has an R in it. Very good. C equals 2 pi R. 2 pi R, pi D, same thing. Not the same thing as pi R squared. Squaring R and multiplying R by 2 are very different values. Capital C, by the way. Do you think I'm going to plug in a number for pi?
No.
Have we ever plugged in a number for pi?
No.
No, not doing that. What now? I want to get R by itself. So what's happening to R, Josie? And 2. Since it's being multiplied by 2 and pi, I could clear that by dividing by 2 and pi. Now, if there happened to be a pi on the left side, I would cancel. You do any math you can do, but I can't do anything here other than say R is capital C over 2 pi. Yes?
Why wouldn't R be capitalized?
Because in the formula, it's not. Radius is a distance measurement, where like circumference is a calculated value, like area is a calculated variable. So that's why they make those capital. Okay, good question. All right, number 1 mistake coming in the next one. Better pay attention. What is the formula for perimeter? Oh, are you going to try? Yay, I love it. Go.
Length times width.
Nope, that's area of a rectangle. Did everybody hear that? Because you're going to need to know that one later.
Length plus width plus length plus width.
Very good. I'm going to write it in the formula. The formula official is P equals 2 scripted L plus 2 scripted W. I'm emphasizing scripted there because the number of kids who see that on their textbook or on their online assignment, and then when they write it down, they write P equals 2 times 1 plus 2W. They write an L that looks like a 1, and then they start doing their problem. Last year when I graded this test question, I had 15 of my students get the answer to have 10.5 in it. And at one point I'm like, where is it? There's no 10. I'm like, what are they doing? I was like, why do I keep seeing 10.5? Where are kids getting 10.5? I was so confused. I'm like, there is a P, an L, and a W, and a 2. Where are they getting 10.5? As I started looking at their work and analyzing mistakes, like all the kids that got 10.5s, I started looking. When they wrote 2L, they just wrote the L looking like a 1. And then when you divide 21, what's 21 divided by 2? It's not 21 divided by 2. And you'll see what we're talking about in just a second. What am I going to have to do to get W? W by itself. Not first. What's the first step in this to isolate W? I need to subtract 2L. I got to move the L's away. Use that scripted L. Do not write it as 21. So you get P, capital, minus 2 scripted L equals 2W. And now we do this dividing by 2. And I'm going to start with W because I always like to write it on the left. And when I take 2 into P, that's just going to become capital P over 2. And then when I take 2 into 2L, it's not 10.5. It's minus L. Why is it minus 1L? Well, what's 2 over 2? 1. Yes, Ollie.
For L, can I write N?
What?
For L, can I write N?
No. Very good question. I forgot to say that. Every year I'm like, oh, I hate this. But what is the algebraic formula of a perimeter? There's no N measurement in a rectangle. And so you have to use L. I never use L unless I have to. But perimeter is one of those places I have to use L because that is the algebraic formula for perimeter. Okay? Ooh, what is this shape? This is a trapezoid. In case you have forgotten, it is A equals 1/2 because it's like a triangle. It's only part of the figure. Parentheses, the sum of the bases. In a trapezoid, there are 2 parts that are considered the base. And then you have to take times the height. And so the trapezoid is built out of the base times height formula. It's just that in a trapezoid, there's 2 bases, and they're different. Right? In a parallelogram, the bases are the same. Still need the height. And I have to take half because I don't have the whole shape there. I only have a portion of it. Let's solve that for H. Write it down and let's decide what we need to do first. A lot of kids are like, ooh, we have to distribute. No, we don't. Not first. First thing I got to do whenever I see a fraction is clear it by multiplying by 2. 2a, capital A, equals parentheses b1 plus b2. Remember, that's just one number. I don't multiply 2 times this and times this and times this and times this because this is one number. So when I multiply by 2, that clears that out. And I still have this amount times this amount. Yay? Now I got to get h by itself. What would I do? And would distributing help?
Why wouldn't we multiply the h by 2?
Because this is one number, right? This is the number like 6 times 5 times 4. And if I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, I would multiply the 6 by 2, or the 5 by 2, or the 4 by 2. But if I multiplied all of them by 2, that would really be multiplying by 8. Because it's all multiplied together. It's only when there's plus signs that you do that. And I know this one has a plus sign, but because it's in those parentheses, that's all one number. Does that make sense? What am I going to do now? I got to get rid of that b1 plus b2. Remember, that's just a number. It's written with whatever these two are. Add them up. But I need to divide by b1, b2. So that cancels. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. And when I start writing it down there below, I don't have to have it in parentheses anymore because that fraction bar acts like parentheses. It says, hey, h is 2 times the area over the sum of the bases. Whatever you're working on there separate, put that away. Yes or no? We good? Who can remember the formula for volume of a prism? And you can't tell me if you've already told me one. Volume of this box. What do you think, Jacob? Very good. V equals length, width, height. Everybody in here solve it for H right now. It's L times W times H, so I need to divide by LW. L cancels, W cancels. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. You're moving it to the other side with inverse operation. H equals capital V over LW. Somebody in last class said, Miss Kearns, is it okay if I write capital V over LW equals H? Same thing. I just have always been in the habit of writing the variable on the left for like what it's solved for. That's just standard. Yay? A new formula I'm going to teach you this year you've not worked with before. I will work with it this year. Don't you worry. I don't want you to be stressed. V equals, because we're doing volume, how much will this cone that I'm drawing right here hold? Okay, we've done cylinders. Last year you guys did cylinders. Should have. Hopefully you realize a cone's going to hold less. You didn't do any cylinders? I'll teach you all those when the time comes. But I don't really teach cylinders because that's 7th grade, but I teach cones. Do you think cones hold more or less? Less because they come to a point, right? Assuming they're all the same, right? V is 1/3. That's less. Pi r squared, that's the bottom, which is a circle, times the height. Lots happening in that formula. Can you solve that one without my help for H? right now. Try to solve that one for H. Again, don't let yourself get overwhelmed by what it looks like. It can look. Did you all start with multiplying by 3? And that 3 is only going to go here, 3v. And that 3 is going to go right here, and that clears it all because that's, again, all one number. So 3v is pi r squared h. Want to get h by itself, I'm going to divide by pi r squared. Now, we aren't solving for r. If we were solving for r, how do you undo squares? How do you undo squares? We learned that in Unit 1. What if I have to undo a square tonight? Well, how do I solve r squared is 25? What's the symbol called? The square root. Right? Those are inverses. So I did this one for everybody last class. A is pi r squared. If you had to solve it for r, you would divide by pi. And then you would have to square root the r squared. So your final answer would be this ugly mess. R square root a over pi. Anytime you've got to undo a square, the inverse of that is square rooting. Final answer here would be h, 3 capital V over pi r squared. Yay? You try 8 and 9 by yourself right now. My phone just gave me notice that big hurricane. Have you guys been watching that big hurricane? It hit. It's like officially on land now. So like you guys know I'm like a weather psycho. That's why my phone just went because it's like officially made landfall. It's been bad there for a few hours, but it's awful. Uh-oh. She's a big storm. She's wreaking havoc. Here we go. We're going to solve this one for y by dividing by z. Do you all agree? Y equals x over z. That's going to be an easy one. On your homework tonight, you got to write out the problem. You write this, like number 7 or number 12 or whatever. You write this down. You solve it. You circle your answer. You type it into Big Ideas. Check your work. Here I'm going to add 5. 3r equals p plus 5. Divide both sides by 3. Final answer would be r equals p over 3 plus 5/3. Yay? Now, yes?
I did r equals p plus 5 over 3.
So you left it like this?
Yeah.
That's not going to be okay in our class, but I do think it gets counted right in Big Ideas. Yes.
Is it okay if I put it as r equals 1 over 3?
Yep. 1/3 p like this.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, today's assignment is assignment number 30. Now, please note, you have to write, you must, not much, you must show your work. So you got to write out the problem, show the inverse operation, properties of equalities, and get a 70. You're going to submit 2 things. A work paper and your score, and that is due by the time I see you on Thursday. We have 12 minutes left.